this unprecedented to arrest a former president for not turning in documents?
The former president that had committed this many provable criminal acts.
But what are the provable criminal acts, I guess?
Provable criminal acts. Well, I'm done.
What is good, YouTube family? It's your boy Shy. We back again with the Black Anomaly Rising channel. So we got to talk about Donald Trump and that 355 million, 364 million, whatever the heck the number is. There's a couple numbers floating around, but we know that in general, it is at least $355 million that he owes in this civil fraud case. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go over all the details of the case because there's already a video that I'm going to react to where they're going to talk about this. But basically, I'm give y'all the general gist of how it works in case you don't know. Okay. So long story short, Trump valuated his properties at a certain dollar amount. Let's say hypothetically, Mar-a-Lago, $18 million. Bank comes back, says, we appraise it. They agree that it's worth $18 million. They give a loan for, let's say, $10 million. The government comes back and says, well, we think that it's valued at less than $18 million. And therefore, you committed fraud. Okay, so that's the gist of it. Now, is there other intricacies and complications surrounding it? Yes. However, prior to seeing any evidence, the judge ruled that Trump was guilty and basically didn't even give him a chance to really dispute, regardless of the fact that there was a trial after that. Okay, the trial after that basically didn't even matter. The judge had already decided. A lot of stuff was overturned in appellate court prior to the actual official court proceedings actually even finishing. So this judge has already been proven to be doing things that he shouldn't. Okay, but without further ado, we got Kevin O'Leary. He's back with this same reporter again. I mean, I'm gonna lie, she's whew. It's kind of okay. Look, it's a cute reporter, okay, but extremely naive. Okay, so Kevin O'Leary schools her twice. This is the second time that he's done this. Okay, we're gonna react to this entire thing. So without further ado, it's kind of long. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's bring in the chairman of O'Leary Ventures, Shark Tank Judge Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, so good to see you this evening. I mean, let me just jump right in here. Last time you and I spoke about the possibility of what the fine could be in this case, we now know what it is. It's more than $350 million. That's a huge financial hit. And I'm wondering, where is he going to get this money?
Actually, it's closer to $500 million with a 9% interest, assuming it'll take 18 to 2 years to actually settle this in an appeal, which I think it should be appealed. He'll work hard to raise it. I think he can do it. But I don't think this case is about Trump anymore at all, because you heard the governor of New York come out yesterday and say, look, everybody, don't be scared about doing business in New York. Because the only people we prosecute are people like Donald Trump who don't behave well. That didn't go over very well with the investment community.
You know what that means, right? That means people who are political opponents. So basically, don't come up against us. Don't try to run for Congress or president or any type of political office. Otherwise, we got you. Okay, like, we gonna come for your money. Oh yeah, we coming for everything. We're gonna try to lock you up, come for your money. We're gonna take everything you got. Okay, that's really what she's saying. But she's saying, oh, but if you're a Democrat, it's okay, it's okay. Go ahead and break the law. That's basically what they're saying. It is sick.
Asking each other, who's next? This was a victimless crime. Nobody lost any money. And a judge out of nowhere put on a $355 million penalty. I mean, who's next? So if you think
Kevin,
about
before I don't want to cut you off, but I hear about the so-called victimless crimes, but the laws on the books, falsification of business records in second degree, issuing false financial statements, insurance fraud, conspiracy, and all these different aspects.
So hold on. Let's go through this one by one. Falsification of business records in the second degree. Okay, this would include giving a documentation for what you think a property is valued as. That's one. Issuing false financial statements. same thing. Insurance fraud, same thing. So basically saying what the value of something is. So I've had to do some of these things. And basically you submit the same documents over and over again. You might just put the numbers on a different document, but it's the same type of documentation. So effectively you think, again, if you say $18 million, for example, Mar-a-Lago, $18 million, hey, you just put $18 million on all the documents. They could literally get you, oh, okay, business records, second degree, false. We don't think that's right. Insurance fraud, issuing false financial statement. It's the same numbers on all of them. So they got like multiple charges in a conspiracy as if it was like some sort of planned thing. Like it was like this master plot to like defraud these banks, which again, they all got paid back. Like there's no crime here. And I think later on, they're going to start talking about like taxes and stuff like that. And I'm like, none of this makes sense. It's a bunch of BS. Anybody who does business knows how this works.
Those are actual crimes. I take it your point is that these should not have been prosecuted?
Well, my point is there's never been a case like this in 75 years. Everything you just listed off is done by every real estate developer everywhere on earth in every city. This has never, ever been prosecuted. But here's the real point.
The issue is that, because I saw people in the comments, some dodo brains acting like, oh, so Kevin's saying that everybody who does real estate is a criminal. No, you freaking morons. He's saying that these aren't crimes. They're not crimes. You can say anything is a crime. If somebody just says, hey, jaywalking is a crime, in some places it's not a crime, and they take and arrest you, hey, you committed a crime, go to jail. Like they can say anything is a crime, and effectively they extended what a crime is in this case. Is basically, well, you said your value is 18 million, the government thinks it's less than that, it's a crime. Like that's basically what they determined.
People in New York should concern themselves with. You can put your money anywhere. I'm a real estate developer. Do you think there's a chance I would ever take a chance on New York again? New York is turning itself into a flyover state. I have to build data centers now. I'm not going to go to New York. New York has power. It's got fiber optics. It's got Niagara Falls. But no, we're not even thinking about it. We're going to places that have the exact same thing, where we have rational governors that have never done this to investors. This is about New York and its people. If I were in New York today and I was living there, I would ask myself, maybe we should hire better management. Why is this happening to us?
Look, you can see it. You can see the look on her face. She's like struggling to find a way to argue with Kevin, but she doesn't have the knowledge required to argue with Kevin. She's got some basic facts about the case, but no real estate knowledge, no investment knowledge, no knowledge of what goes on the insurance documentation, no knowledge of what goes on the financial documentation, the freaking appraisal documentation, how the banks handle their valuation. She has no knowledge of that. So of course she's not going to get it. And of course, a bunch of people in the comments, since they just think Trump is guilty of freaking basically being a white orange man, then of course they're going to think that he's guilty too, with no evidence of nothing, right? But this is how these people operate. But more so than that, this guy also, since he's demonstrating having some level of empathy for Trump, oh yeah, Kevin, you're definitely on a chopping block. He's smart. A lot of people support Trump, especially business people, at least let's just say aren't anti-Trump. And these days, if you're not anti-Trump, then you're guilty. So he knows like, oh, I could be next. Anybody could be next. They're going to tackle anybody who's a conservative is operating out of New York. And Kevin don't want no part of that. And you're smart. Basically, political persecution, there is no limit to political persecution. They will go after anybody, whoever they want, who they feel like is threatening them. If Kevin O'Leary decides to run for any office, oh yeah, he's toast. He's toast. They're going to hit him with all the same stuff they hit Trump with, maybe more.
A flyover state. Why are investors
Kevin,
concerned about putting their money there?
But shouldn't you ask that? Wouldn't those people also be saying, well, first of all, I do wonder how many people take issue with the idea that every investor is engaged in falsifying business records, that every investor is engaged in what has been accused of Donald Trump and the Trump organization. Because there's probably a lot who are saying to themselves, I've never falsified my business records. I know what a square foot looks like. I know what I can ask for and what I have the money to support. So I wonder to what extent that really is true. But on the second point, wouldn't there be many companies who would not want to do business or loan money to people like yourself or investors if they know that they can get away with fraud and there's no recourse to protect them?
Excuse me, what fraud? This is not about Trump anymore. When you get a developer that builds a building and he says it's worth $400 million and he wants to borrow $200 million from a bank, which happens every day, everywhere on earth, including every American city, every developer is an entrepreneur. They shine the light on their building and they say it's worth 400. The bank does its own due diligence, as was done in this case, because they're very good at it. The banks are very good, and they say, no, it's worth 300. We're only going to loan you 150 million. That haggling has gone on for decades. That's how it works. And then in this case, even the bank that was supposedly defrauded testified and said, we didn't lose anything. We want to do business with this guy again. We'd like to. But the judge said, no, 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 no. Let's penalize this developer for $355 million. And if we're going to do that, let's penalize all the developers all across America. They've all done the same thing. All of them should go to jail, and we should stop building buildings.
Well, they're not going to do that, Kevin, because not all of them are Republican. Only the conservatives. They're not going to do it to everybody. That's the point. A lot of the stuff that they hit Trump with is unique to Trump. They're trying to do election interference. They're trying to take him down. Orange man bad. It's that simple. So is it possible that they could do this to anybody that they want? Absolutely. And you best believe that they will. This was a sign, and this was really, I feel like, a message like, hey, you run up and you get done up. Okay? Like, you try to run against us, you try to take down the establishment, and we got the political system on our side. Oh yeah, we're going to weaponize it. You're told, you think these people will raise these charges if they thought that they were going to lose? Of course not. They think that they're going to win, and it's not because they feel like the evidence is on their side. They feel like the courts are stacked against them. This lady, Letitia James, and Judge Engoron, he has publicly denounced Trump numerous times prior to taking the case. Does that seem like an impartial, non-biased individual to you? Of course not.
That's what the message is from New York. Even the governor herself is concerned about what this looks like to investors all around the world. It's not just U.S. domestic. All around the world, people are talking about what happened here. You really think people want to invest money in New York after this? How about we go somewhere else?
I think there are people who would, I don't want to cut you off, but I want to converse with you instead.
You just did.
It's only because I want to have a conversation,
you know what?
Kevin,
I respect
as opposed to just having you tell me.
I respect you because you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer. You understand exactly what I'm talking about.
I say she doesn't know what you're talking about because we've heard what she says about real estate investing, and she sounds like she's totally freaking lost. Okay, she doesn't sound like she understands anything about this. Being able to pass law school and pass the bar exam does not mean that you're some sort of real estate attorney and a legal expert on real estate. It doesn't mean you even own a property. It doesn't mean that you've been through the purchase process of any properties at all.
I'm respectable for a number of reasons, Kevin O'Leary, but being a lawyer is one of those issues. But I'll tell you, when I hear your conversation, and I do want to converse with you about this point, I understand that there are legitimate concerns that were raised during the trial and will continue to be raised about who the quote unquote, who is actually bringing the suit. It wasn't the banks who were saying that we as consumers or unsophisticated feel this way. But Letitia James, the Attorney General, and I know you want to expand beyond Trump, has suggested, well, it's about making the playing field level for those who are not the major and billionaire investors, but for those who are supposed to put business records out there, want to get a loan, the idea of making sure that they have to have the same true statements included as those who have a lot more money. Is there any weight to that for you?
Well, hang on a second. What was considered false in the statements? If you say you think it's worth one thing and they say it's worth something else, how's that false? How's that fraudulent? It doesn't make any sense. Like, that's literally what you thought. Like, basically, you're guilty of wrong think.
Well, I ask you, who lost money. And I'll make it even clearer. You and I, we're developing a data center together. And I say to you, we can go to New York, where this just happened. It's your money now. You're now an investor, and you're taking risk. You're an entrepreneur with me, right beside me. We're together on the deal. Or I can show you Oklahoma, North Dakota, West Virginia, where the governors actually ran businesses. Let's go there, where this never happened before. They have power. They have permits. They've got legislation that's supportive of entrepreneurship. Why would we go to New York? Why take the risk? My only point is...
So, real quick, to interrupt him again real quick. There's the concept of damages, okay? Like, I know everybody's not a legal expert, neither am I, but I know a lot of the basic terminology. And the concept of damages means that you can prove that there was actual financial loss based off of fraudulent activity or perceived fraudulent activity. In this case, there's no damages, and there's arguably no fraud. I would say it's not even arguable. There's really no fraud. They just kind of determined that they think it's fraud because that's just how they happen to define it in that particular courtroom. Okay, but there was no actual damages here because nobody suffered because it is. They just made it up. They just hate Trump.
Just diminish the great state of New York and the great people of New York. And shouldn't they ask for better management so they don't become a flyover state? Remember, New York has the highest taxes in the country, the worst regulatory environment, and it's incredibly mismanaged. And I'm pointing out now, on top of that, you get this insanity, a victimless crime. And forget about Trump. It's not about Trump. I don't care about Trump in this. I care about America, and I care about entrepreneurship, and I care about democracy and the fairness. The judicial system is now being criticized. People are asking themselves, the bar of New York, is this judge rational to charge $355 million in a case where no one lost any money? Is that good for the people of New York? Should the people of New York wake up to this and say, what's happening to us? Why is this becoming so perverse? Why are we the focus of this injustice?
It's called Trump derangement syndrome. You got literal migrants beating the hell out of police officers, okay? And apparently that just happened again. I'm not sure if I make a video about it. Maybe I will. But they don't care about that. Matter of fact, they get to go scot-free. They let them out of jail. Okay, sure. Did they eventually catch some of them? They did. But they initially they caught them and they released them from jail, no bail. But in this case, we want to fine Trump $355 million with no actual real criminal activity. This is the type of stuff they care about. These people have vendettas. These people are evil, man. They don't care about real criminals, real people out here on the street, suffering, struggling, people dying from fentanyl. Like, there's just so much stuff going on. Like, all of this criminal, like people being like beat up, shot. They don't care about none of that. But instead, you know what they care about? Trump's financial fraud. Alleged financial fraud that really didn't even happen. Okay? Basic real estate activity is what they care about. Any way that they could think of to nail Trump, they'll do it. They care about winning elections by saying, we're going to get Trump. That's what they care about. Again, these people are pure evil, and they're ruining business for New York City. Now you got a situation where truckers don't even want to come into New York. They don't want to deliver anything to or from New York. Might do a story about that too. But I'm sure y'all probably, if y'all watching this video now, you probably already heard about that. It's a lot of freaking damage that's happening because of this situation with Trump, because a lot of people see how crooked it is. They see the evil, and they're rising up to fight against it. And the biggest thing that they're going to do is rise up to fight against it in November.
Nothing to do with Trump. I'm not supporting Trump. I'm supporting American entrepreneurship. And New York is slowly becoming the #1 loser state in America. I'm sorry, that's what's happening.
Well, that's news to the city that doesn't sleep. But I'll tell you what, the governor has said that legitimate business operations have nothing to worry about. I, as an attorney, am looking at this issue, wondering what the appeals process will look like, because they're going to delve into that very topic that you have raised. They're going to talk about perhaps the novelty of this being, as you described, not brought on behalf of, you know, unsophisticated consumers who may have been duped, but decisions made by loan entities who wanted to engage in business with this particular organization. That'll be really important. Go ahead, put your hand up.
I want to put up my hand and ask, Governor, who's next? Who are you going after next?
You want your hand up for that,
It's probably you, Kevin. It's probably you, because Kevin O'Leary done spoke out at least 2 times about this, probably more than that. Okay, like, Kevin, you talking a lot. I'm sure it's pissing somebody off. They don't like that, Kevin. Nope. Stop it, Kevin. Otherwise, we going to take all your money. Like, that's the message that they're sending. I'm telling you right now, better not run for office. Otherwise, they're going to take your money, your kids' money. I think he just lifted up a finger, his hand. He think got a wedding ring on. He married. They're going to take everything. They'll take your wife, too. Like, I'm telling you, bro.
And down, if that's the question. What do you mean?
Every entrepreneur in New York is saying, am I next? Who's next?
This situation is maddening. It is a bit of a scary situation. I don't really know how it's inevitably going to impact business in New York, because what tends to happen is if some of the bigger billionaire types kind of don't want to do the work, then you got some of those woke leftist types who also have money, and they're just going to come try to take their place. Now, is it going to be enough? I don't know, because you never know. Sometimes even if you are one of those far leftist progressive types, they'll still try to nail you to the wall if you like disagree with, I don't know, freaking radical transgender surgeries for kids or something. Like, or you know, you think Ron DeSantis is a decent guy, then they'll try to really get you. So there's really no telling what the limit is. Once you start this political warfare stuff, or sorry, legal warfare and just litigation warfare against political opponents, there's no telling what the limit is, right? So one has to be cautious when you're doing business, and this is a very unfortunate time. Unfortunately, I feel like this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Republicans are probably going to strike back just as hard in places where they can get away with it, even if it comes across as hypocritical, and watch Democrats start boo-hooing and crying about it. Like, oh, you're just doing this for politics. That's what they're going to say. I've seen the Twitters, I've seen the message boards, the Reddits, the comments, and literally anytime anything happens to Trump, everybody's like, Yahoo, it's the greatest day ever. Anytime that the Republicans do anything against the Democrats, like, these people are pure evil. They'll do anything to win political games. Like, they basically feel like the Democrats are like literal angels and the Republicans are just straight demons. Like, that's what a lot of these ridiculous woke leftists think. And it is insane. And this lady, low-key, I know she's supposed to play devil's advocate, but she low-key kind of sounds like she's one of them. One of those woke leftist types. Do I know for sure? No, but she definitely played the devil's advocate here. And if the comments are any indication, a lot of people are just straight up shills. They don't understand real estate at all. Never did a transaction in their life. Probably can't afford to own a damn house because of this damn Bidenomics economy. Okay. So why the hell would they know if you can't afford to buy a house with the high ass interest rates and high prices? Why the hell would you know anything about real estate? Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
They spent a lot of time in the White House. And you know what they were talking about? How do we get Trump? How do we get him?